What is going on, you guys? Welcome to my video. If you guys are subscribed to this channel, welcome back. I appreciate your support. In today's video, I want to talk about sacrifice and how sacrifice is inevitable. You're going to have to sacrifice no matter what. And the thing about sacrifice is if you don't sacrifice for what you want in life, what you want will become the sacrifice. That life you want will become the sacrifice. You won't live that life you want if you don't sacrifice. Now, what do I mean by sacrifice? I mean giving up things that you have right now, things that you desire, things that you want, and taking on responsibility. For example, I love cars. That's something I'm really passionate about. I love going fast. I love modifying them. If I see a nice car on the highway, I literally break my neck to look at it. And I had a really nice BMW. It was a nice BMW sports car. I modified it, added a bunch of things to it. It was sort of like an outlet for me, right? But I moved to Washington, D.C., which is like a small city. And you could basically get around walking, metro, bus, whatever. And so I didn't have a need for a car or a nice car. So I told myself, I would be in a much better position if I sold my car. I'd save money on the car note. I'd save money on maintenance. I'd save money on gas. I'd save money on parking. I'd save money on modifying it because every month I'd be spending like hundreds of dollars adding new parts to the car. So I got rid of the car. And even though I love cars, I said I will be in a better position financially in the future if I give this up now, if I sacrifice this now. So you have to love yourself enough to let go of things you don't need so you can be in a better position in the future. It's like you're planting the seeds right now, so in the future, when the seeds sprout and grow, you have shade in the future. You're not stranded out in the sun. You know what I'm saying? So there are many things you can sacrifice in life. Maybe that's going out. Maybe that's spending a lot of money. Maybe that's getting rid of your bad habits. I had a bad habit of playing video games. I'd play my PC maybe 4 to 6 hours a day. And I told myself, as much as I love playing video games, as much as I like communicating with my friends over video games and all that, I have to give that up so I can better prioritize my time. Maybe put money or put time into my business, put time into my fitness goals, whatever it may be. But that habit, me playing video games, isn't going to get me closer to my goals. So I had to give it up. I sold my PC, I sold my gaming console, my monitor, everything. And now, I got rid of most things on my life. I don't go on vacations often. That's a lot of money that is going to be spent on something I don't necessarily need. And I'm not saying, have a miserable life. Have a little bit of a balance. I don't 100% believe in a balanced life, have fun and all this. No, if you have something in your head, you want to be financially free, you want to be whatever you want to be, you have to prioritize your life around that goal. And if it means no social life, that means no social life. That's it. There's no work-life balance. I don't hang out with friends that often. I don't go out that often. I don't eat out that often. I've sacrificed so much so I can be in a better position. And that's what all men have to do. Men have to sacrifice. If you don't sacrifice, like I said, what you want will become the sacrifice. So no matter what, you're going to sacrifice something. And there was a great example by Dr. Jordan Peterson, who's a psychologist as well as a professor. And he helps a lot of young men on their goals. And basically he said, most men live their life like they're Peter Pan. If you guys don't know what Peter Pan is or who he is, he's basically a fictional character out of a story. And like Disney made a movie about Peter Pan, and he's basically this young boy. He's maybe like 14 years old, and he's living in Neverland, this fantasy world that's make-believe, right? And he's king of the Lost Boys because there's a group of boys that follow him around doing shit, whatever. And he has this fairy named Tinkerbell, who's basically symbolizing porn. She's a fairy, a substitute for porn, just like, pixels are on a screen. It's all fake, it's all bullshit. And so he's living in this fantasy world and he doesn't want to grow up. And it's only because he sees the only grown up around him, who is Captain Hook, who's this guy who's running or getting chased by a crocodile with a clock in its mouth, which that crocodile represents time. So it's constantly trying to eat at Captain Hook or take a bite out of Captain Hook, which is like symbolizing time is going to catch up to you and it's going to have a bite of you and eventually it's going to consume you. You know, you're going to die eventually. And so he sees this guy who's a tyrannical Captain Hook, who's like mean and like hates life and shit. And he's like, why the hell would I want to be that if I can be, you know, whatever I want to be, anything I want. But Peter Pan doesn't choose to become anything. He's just king of the Lost Boys, does nothing. And that's the whole point. It's like you have to pick something. Kids could be anything. They could be potentially anything. You know, they want to be a firefighter, policeman, lawyer, engineer. They could be whatever the fuck they want. But they have to choose to become something. They can't just be nothing. And that's the sacrifice. You got to give up your childhood in order to become something. And if you don't, you can put off not taking on any responsibility. Like in your 20s, you can pretty much put off responsibility. You can do nothing. You can just stay at home and play video games and nothing will really happen, you know? But eventually, all that time is going to accumulate. And when you're in your 30s and 40s, it's going to hit you like a freight train. It's going to hit you hard. You know, it's so you're not going to feel anything right now. You could be just dicking off doing jack shit. But later on in life, it's going to catch up to you and it's going to hit you hard. So instead of taking on sacrifice out of like desperation, do it out of inspiration. You know, a lot of people decide not to do anything in life, but they might decide to do something because a tragedy happens in their life or some serious circumstance happens. You know, don't wait for that moment. Don't wait at all. You know, take action now. Be inspired now. Be motivated now, and take action and sacrifice for what you want. You know, this life is yours. So work towards whatever the fuck you want, and what you want will manifest, or else what you want will become the sacrifice. So that's all I have to say for you guys. You know, more men have to take on more responsibility and they have to sacrifice more from their life because men are very weak today, and that's, you know, part of the agenda that they're trying to do. But, you know, stick to self-improvement, stick to working on yourself, and you will escape this bullshit. With that being said, guys, if you guys like this sort of content, you know, self-improvement, self-help, self-care, like this video, subscribe to this channel. I have more content coming out, and I'll see you guys on the next one.